Hi guys, welcome back. So I have a video from Candace Owens that says Candace reacts to woke parenting videos. Guys, let's see what the video is all about.
Hey guys, it's Candace Owens, and today we are going to be talking and taking a look at bad parenting.
Candace.
As an overview, I would say that right now in America, we have a problem with woke parenting in particular. Like these parents need to be parented. And so they are trying to raise their children so that they can put up a status on Facebook and get applause for being so loving and welcoming. And at the end of the day, you know, kids are little rugrats and they need to be parented and told what's right and what's wrong. Not that everything that they do is right. There's just too much validation going on for children, and parents have completely abandoned what it actually means to rear a child. My general parenting philosophy is I'm the boss, you're the applesauce. My husband and I genuinely believe we are the parents, you are the child. Obviously you can imagine, basically my husband's English, so if you've ever seen like Nanny 911 when they bring the nannies over from London and they're like, you should not do that. That's my husband. And I support that. Kids need rules, kids need schedules, they need guidelines. There's a time and a place, for children to express themselves. But, we believe in the word no. There's nothing that bothers me more than parents who I meet that are like, we just don't want our child to have any negative reinforcement. We just don't want our child to hear the word no. And I'm like, are these the kids that grow up and become like rapists and killers? Just like they don't understand the word no? Like what do you mean you don't understand the word no? Kids need to understand that they are allowed to do certain things and they are not allowed to do certain things. Okay, so let's dive into some of these videos that you guys have for me.
The school district now is a freaking nightmare. I go to enroll my child and my kiddo is standing right there. I hand them the birth certificate and I say, see right here, this is his sex. He is a boy, he goes by he, him. I had no issues at his past school and I don't expect to have any issues here. And I swear it was like Karen, the transphobic secretary, was just waiting on us that day. She said she wouldn't put my child in the school system as his name because it has to match a birth certificate. But again, had no issues at the last school. I told her I absolutely would not enroll my child as a female. And she said, you will and you are. She enrolled my child as a female, then sent mail to my house with my child's dead name on it. At this point, my child is supposed to start school on Monday and is enrolled in the system as a female. Every single teacher in the school knew about my child, and the students were told a little girl was coming to class. This is a visual representation of my mood. Like and follow for part 3.
Yeah, that's scary. That's actually just scary. I mean, if you check on that child in 18 years, that child is going to be so messed up. And the fact that this is on the internet and nothing's going to be done about it is the worst part of it. Like, people are basically saying, I'm abusing my child. I'm going to make a TikTok about abusing my child. And nothing's going to happen to me because we've mainstreamed child abuse.
I'm sorry, what? Oh, no, ma'am. No. What? You watch this at school? What's it called? Oh, no. With the children, white people should not ever be talking about putting on war paint. That is racism. That is appropriation. The ancestors died trying to defend themselves. Okay, so no, that is not okay. Movies that I enjoyed that I can no longer watch because I know better. Homophobia, transphobia, mocking people with disabilities, sexual assault, misogyny. I'm not going to touch that one because you all know. And before you go saying, why can't you just let her enjoy things? Because when you know better, you do better. And when you know better, you teach your children better. And if I just let her go along with it and tell her it's okay, then she'll grow up thinking that it's no big deal. And then she'll grow up ignorant like you.
Oh gosh, it's just so much. First off, it's so much ignorance. She talking about war paint, obviously a reference to Native Americans. Don't let your children wear war paint because they died fighting for their lives. No, people don't know this, but the majority, 90% plus of Native Americans died because they caught smallpox, and the settlers had no idea that they had smallpox. So that was by disease. It wasn't a genocide that was trying to be committed against the Native Americans. Beyond that, Native Americans cannibalized one another, literally, ate one another, and you can find that even in the New York Times, which acknowledged that. In doing an anthropological study of what was left over in Colorado. They determined that they did that. So this whole idea that Native Americans were just gatherers sitting around kumbayaing until settlers came is just so fictitious and ridiculous. Human beings have been at war since the beginning of humanity. And for whatever reason, the only people that they want to bear any responsibility for that war are Americans. And I just can't imagine raising a kid that can't enjoy basic things. Like, kids shouldn't have to think like this. I remember actually when I was a kid, I loved the Pocahontas soundtrack so much. That was back when we had the little VHS cassettes that you could put in and you could just rewind it and listen to it over and over again. And to me, that's a celebration, of Native American culture. I never thought of it as like, well, this is a horrible, song, and how could Disney possibly do this? And we're horrible people. Like, children are supposed to be wildly imaginative, and beyond that, everything they do, what is the intent behind something? When a child is dressing up like something, it's because they're envious. They go, I love this so much, I want to look like this person. And you don't want them to feel that way. It's like the disappearance of the Land O'Lakes butter lady. So your solution to the idea that we disappeared Native American culture is to disappear it even further and allow it to be seen nowhere. I mean, that doesn't make any sense whatsoever. It's just sheer stupidity. And yeah, it's going to really suck to have that as a mother growing up.
Are you sure? I mean, does everything have to be about race all the time? Oh, honey, I'm really sorry that happened. Sometimes we think that racism is a thing of the past, or that it's about one individual person or a group of people treating others differently. In reality, racism is systemic. That means that it's written into our laws and policies, and it affects every part of our life. I'm really glad you're bringing attention to it.
Which law? Which policy, Mom? Mom can't answer it because there's literally not a single law or policy that is in place that is racist. There just is not. It's just a repeat talking point. They just keep saying there's systemic racism and there's laws and there's policies that impact Black Americans. And then when you ask them which one specifically, they can't answer the question because, as I said, you're dealing with parents that are stupid and they're passing down stupidity to their children. And by the way, the fact that these parents are always doing this online should really tell you that this is not about fighting any sorts of oppression. It's about getting likes and clicks. I mean, there's an underlying narcissism that's happening. Like I said, they do a lot of this stuff because they want to show their friends how amazing and how woke they are. It's really pathetic and it's sad because the only people that hurt because of it are children when they're designed to see every little thing and every little interaction that they have as an act of racism.
So you're singing to him. Does he enjoy the singing, and what are you singing to him?
It's a lot of show tunes because that's what I like. So we're raising him gay until he decides he's straight.
Okay.
And on the way back from the hospital, we played Britney Spears because that was what Justin demanded he listen to. That was his first exposure to music. But yeah, it's a lot of singing. I'm writing a lot of songs for him. Everything has a song. I got a poo-poo in my dip-dap and my daddy fish. I mean, you can make a song about anything.
Wow. Well, that's a catchy one. So you're raising him gay until he says he's straight, but you'll love him just the same if he is straight, right?
Absolutely. Actually, Justin and I were saying he's absolutely going to be, I could just tell him to be like such a straight kid. Yeah. Who knows? I'm going to do whatever he wants. But I just have a feeling you're going to want to play football. I could just tell. And I'm going to have to learn how to do all those things with him.
Right. Well, if there is a God, yes, because it would be wonderful to see you trying to do that with him. So you're reading to him also. Does he have a favorite book?
Well, we like some of the classics. Like we have about eight copies of The Hungry Caterpillar. But one of the new books that I found that I really love is a book called the hips on the drag queen go swish swish swish.
You joined TikTok. Here. Oh.
Swish swish. Swish swish swish. Town.
Wow, I didn't know that book, but that's a catchy one. I like that tune better.
Actually, until the very end, I thought he was being intentionally funny. Like it was just a joke saying that he's going to raise his kid to be gay until he comes out as straight. Like I thought it was just being tongue in cheek. and it was lighthearted and it was a good interview until he said that he was reading a drag queen book to his child. I have so many opinions about the whole drag queen thing. I think it is such an entryway for pedophilia, and that this has become a cultural phenomenon of letting, perverts dress up around children and read story time to them, and trying to normalize that, like it's a normal thing for a grown man to want to dress up as a woman and be around small children, has always really disturbed me. Yeah, other than that, I thought he was just being funny, tongue-in-cheek, but the end there, I was like, okay, this is a weird book for you to have unless that was supposed to be a part of a skit.
Actually, yes, I do. And it's kind of weird because just
she looks normal.
My family and I were talking about that and how if we had another baby, say like tomorrow, that we would probably not gender that baby until they were old enough to decide on their own what they felt like.
It's just, you can look at that person and see it. This is not a person that's mentally stable, because you just don't make yourself look like that unless you have issues. You just don't. I'm sorry. And people that are trying to pretend that that's normal. Oh, I'm just like, I just don't conform to standards. It's like, no, there's something wrong with you. You're actually screaming for attention. That's also a reason why you're deciding that you don't want to gender your child, because you're screaming for attention. You want people to know that you're not being normal because you desperately seek some attention. And unfortunately, when you're using your child as a conduit to that attention, you're also causing harm. I mean, the idea that children have it within them, the ability to make decisions is it's so radical. It's so crazy. And the sad part is that when that child becomes an adult and realizes that they suffered from not having an adult that raised them, it will be too late. They will have mostly ruined parts of their lives, and so it's unfortunate to see that. I wish that we had a proper CPS system that would actually get involved when they knew that they had adults that were, raising their son as a daughter or their daughter as a son, because kids don't make that decision. Parents do. It's like, I always say that when you see the trans thing and someone says that they have a trans child or a non-gender conforming child, it's like meeting someone that tries to tell you that their dog is vegan. Like, who's making the decisions. Dogs eat meat, and children do not think about gender and sexuality. Okay, so these are the kids that are being segregated and forced to eat outside. This isn't really bad parenting. It's an extension of bad government policy, backed up by parents who would ever allow this to happen to their children. I can't even wrap my head around me being okay with this. Sending my child to school and learning that they're eating outside. They have a virtual 0% of catching COVID and dying from it, rather. I just can't imagine what parents have been this adaptable to what really is just tyrannical policy that's ultimately dehumanizing your child. So the circumstances make no sense to me. It's horrible, and it's something that all parents across the nation should be standing up against. I think, as a final thought, that shame works, and that parents should feel free to comment to other parents that what they're doing is disturbing. I think the reason why this has become so popular online and we're seeing so much of this is because the parents that are raising their children correctly are silent, because they're so fearful that, I just don't want to be that parent at school, or I don't want to be that parent that is told that they're not accepting because my child is a non-conforming, trans robot. You need to stop worrying about acceptance and actually start thinking about the society that your child is going to be forced to grow up in. And so find your voice, say that you find it to be disturbing. And in most circumstances, for me, I honestly would report half of the things that I see to police officers, to child protective services, because it's really alarming to me that child abuse has become mainstreamed.